we're joined by Orlando Molina, who is a multi-instrumentalist, a composer. He's just recorded a new album, an absolutely lovely man. And he's playing on the jazz scene in Dublin, in the classical world. He is an incredible musician, and I'm really happy to have him on.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'm delighted to have you. Thank you for agreeing to come on and giving up your time. I've intruded in your house now at this point. So
thank you. My pleasure.
So listen, the first question that I always ask everyone on the podcast is what is it about music, or what is the thing about playing music that if it was no longer there, it wouldn't be worth it for you anymore?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very an interesting one. Let's say emotions, feelings. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. For me, it's a vehicle to express.
Yeah.
Probably it's quite. I mean, it's not too an original answer, but to me, it's like music has saved me in many ways, many times.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like without music, I'd say anything makes sense at all.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. No. I get you. There's that. There's sort of a. There's an actual scientific sort of proof of what you're saying there, almost, which is that every culture that we've ever discovered, every time any archaeologist has found an old society, they've always found a drum or something to make music with. Like, every society has had it in some way. But on the point of emotions, do you find Is it in order to express yourself that music is important, or is it bigger than that? Is it bigger than just self-expression?
I truly believe that music and arts in general, but in this case, music makes humans more humans.
Yeah. I get you.
We need that sensitivity. There are things that cannot be touched, nor smelled, nor felt, but just with emotions.
Yeah.
And music can kind of travel and cut through people, all the tangible aspect of life, and gets to a point where probably nothing else but love, probably, or feelings, emotion, hate, love, anyway, frustration can get, and I can't remember. I saw this short video from a quite famous actor. I'm very bad at names.
Okay.
I remember names. But he said he was explaining the importance of art, and he said something like, if you think that art's not important when you lose someone, or when you get divorced, or when you are going through a very hard moment, that thing that can sometimes support you is art or music.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, and through sensitivity, if society gets more sensitive about anything, about everything, probably create more awareness of what is good or wrong, or create this as a way to get through the ethics. Doesn't make sense what I'm trying to say. It's like, in the end, to me, music contributes with the human aspect of humanity. Yeah. And by contributing with that, we're contributing with society and creating a better world.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? It's about sensitivity and making, as I said before, human more human.
Yeah. It reminds you of what it is to live the human experience. We can get very self-important. We can forget to have a sense of humor, or a sense of empathy, or all of those things can kind of slip by, and subtle reminders, definitely.
Yeah, and it's a way of communication, and in a different level. It's like, I mean, this is one of the things that I wish everyone can experience, which is some people call it in the zone.
Yeah.
But it's like when you are playing and you reach a mental space where you feel detached from yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
So no need for any drugs whatsoever.
Yeah,
just, you know.
And you don't have to meditate for 100 years.
No,
yeah.
it's just like it gets you to get to a point where you are completely detached, and that is to experience that. It's one of the most beautiful things that I ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And you get addicted to it.
yeah.
100%. But the whole point is that I believe that there is something in that level.
Yeah.
There is something to me.
Yeah.
There is something that is connected at that level.
Takes you beyond your humanity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That takes you beyond this physical aspect of living.
Yeah.
And probably emotions and love and all the things that premonitions, you know, when you feel like, I experienced this before.
Yeah.
For instance, this is a very personal anécdota. Is that word exists? Anécdota is in Spanish. Anyway, like a personal story.
Like a little, an anecdote. Yeah.
Anecdote. That's the term. Thank you. Which is, I've always had like a very special connection with my mom. Regarding my mom is not living in Ireland; she lives in Chile.
Yeah.
So regardless, we can be. I mean, we've been without talking like for a week or so, or the whole day, and I kind of feel when she is not okay.
Okay.
I had the feeling, the need of I need to contact my mom.
There's a connection.
Okay, it's a connection.
Yeah.
It's very some people believe it,
I definitely believe.
But I've experienced that, and I kind of relate that to that other level of connection that we cannot explain.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that music can do that.
Yeah.
We can achieve that through music.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there are lyrics to songs that if someone just read them out to me, would not make me cry. Definitely wouldn't make me cry. They're just words. But if they're sung in a song, if I hear someone singing those words and they mean it, completely breaks me down.
Watch a movie without a soundtrack.
Yeah, 100%. It's just weird. It's wrong because
it doesn't deliver the message.
No, the art that has been created by the director it relies upon us being connected by the sound as well, and it's not just people. It's not just the sounds of people. Yeah, it has to be music. It has to be.
It's like it's the wave. It's the message. It's the lever. It's like the carrier.
Yes. Yeah. It's a vehicle. And it gets around like the walls that we build up to prevent us from feeling things. You know, like if I was breaking down every moment of every day, anytime someone said, like, mentioned their mother or whatever, or mentioned like a lost child, or like if that happened every time I heard it. Two very strong examples there. But that I just wouldn't function. There's too much going on in the world. So like we kind of build those walls, but you know, like music is like a trampoline. Like it just gets over them. It just gets it burrows in somehow. There's something to it as well. Like in that sense, you were saying like music has that ability to connect with the most human aspect of ourselves. It also has it has the ability to connect with the obviously the best and worst of us is in our music. Like there are songs that are not like that show us a really difficult part of ourselves to look at sometimes. Like they can be really raw and emotional and from a bad place. But the person making the music, for them, the process of making that music can be like a totally different emotional experience to the person listening to it. Like the job, I remember hearing, I think it was Amanda Palmer, who's a really good piano player and singer, and she was in the Dresden Dolls and stuff, but she said that the job of the artist is to go into dark places and bring a light for everyone else to follow, like to go into places that other people aren't looking at in themselves, and to make it okay for them to go in there with their music. Like that job can be really, really tough. Like, how do you feel about your job as an artist in that sense?
Well, when I believe I discussed this. I've discussed this before, actually, with Jenny McMahon. A nice podcast as well, and we talk about this. And at the beginning, I remember I thought that my art is for everyone, okay, I grew up in Venezuela. I'm from Venezuela.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, in my childhood and teenage, all the political, economic, situation in Venezuela was quite tough.
Yeah.
Politics divide families.
Yeah.
Kind of ruin the country in every aspect. But the thing is, during that period, I was growing as a musician and learning how to play music, and it was okay. Well, since everything was so divided,
Yeah.
I was like, no, my music should be for everyone, and
Yeah.
it's made for people to enjoy and forget about problems, whatever.
Yes.
And the more the time passes by, I started to feel the responsibility
Okay.
to set to do not be impartial,
Yeah.
to stand behind my opinions, to stand behind my ethics,
Yes.
my values,
Yeah.
what I believe is good or wrong.
Yeah.
And I started feeling the need of using my music as a way to stand behind that.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you.
It's like to be a flag for truth. My truth, not everybody else's truth,
Yeah.
but my truth at least.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I at this stage, I do believe that I have that responsibility.
Yeah.
And I remember myself kind of being in disagreement with many artists that were way older than me,
Yeah.
saying what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I suppose I just needed to, be around the sun.
Yeah. Just have a few more trips.
A few more trips around the sun
Yeah.
to understand what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's two things there. The first is that, like, I really get where you're coming from with when you were younger, wanting your music to almost fulfill one of your needs, or sorry, I may be reading into what you're saying, but certainly when I was young, one of the things I really wanted my music to do was to bring people together, and to, like, I kind of wanted it to save the world, which was not realistic, but that's, like, there was a childish need there to make things okay, things that could not be made okay by a song, like I did not know the limit, but I now know there is a limit to what can be achieved.
In that regard, sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, go for it.
I believe we all play our part.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all.
We cannot play the part of a policeman or
Yeah.
the force army or of the president or a politician, because
Yeah.
we are artists.
Yes.
And our part is to be artists and to create good art, meaningful art.
Yes.
Something that transcends, or something an art that changes people somehow.
Yeah.
Or makes people reflect about whatever they need to reflect.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
in the end, probably, or I feel that whatever I compose will bring out things in you
Yes.
that you have in you.
And they were mine.
They're not mine.
Yeah. They're not your
in you,
fault.
exactly.
Yeah.
Are in you.
Yeah.
So that I believe we all play our part. We cannot play somebody else's part.
Yes. And that's it. You can't choose the effect that your music will have. You can only choose the way that you put it out there. You can only choose the process and trust that expression will find its place. Like, however it does. It might incite people into violence, or it might totally calm people, or it might, change some people's minds and then harden other people against ever changing their minds,
100%.
That relationship with art that you create being not yours once it's out there, not incapable of your control, can be quite scary, especially if you feel a strong responsibility for your vision of the world, I guess.
Probably since in my case, and many of the musicians that I play with, we all work with instrumental music.
Yes.
It's not that objective in terms of, okay, think this.
Yeah. Here's the lyric, like,
story.
Yeah.
So, which I believe that's make things a bit more interesting, because I truly believe that if we play a song I compose that song or I perform that song from an emotional, sometimes more logical place of myself.
Yes.
And once you listen to it, whatever you feel, it is in you.
It'll find its way out in your music. Yeah.
It is in you, and probably I composed a song out of happiness or sadness, and you've the sadness, or I broke up with my girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
And the feeling that you get is nostalgia.
Yeah.
Or it's like the sense of, I don't know, of happiness, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's also the beauty with instrumental music, that it's very subjective.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's a translation of your emotions. Like you ended up talking about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's like the that test that psychologists do with the ink blots.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, that's yours. It's not there. You know.
Because you know this idea that I use it a lot, which is like, I'm responsible for what I say and the way I say it, but you're responsible for what you understand.
And how you respond.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you might take things personal.
Yeah.
But probably that's out of your own frustrations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's quite a difficult, like that's quite a mature lesson to learn, that you've kind of described through music there, but like in all aspects of life, you know, the way you choose to respond is only on you. Yeah, like that is 100%. Fully yours. So like, to get to that through music is quite an interesting place. Like to have had to process your art in such a way that you have to realize, like, actually that's not, however he's heard that, however that critic has responded to my music. Usually they're not talking about the music anyway, but like, however that person has heard what I've said, I have to let go. Like, I have to have a boundary here, an emotional boundary, where I'm like, that is not on me. That is like,
yes, and to decide not to take things personal.
Yeah. Because nothing.
That's a personal decision.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't like. Oh man, the gig was nice, very good, but the guitar was too loud.
Yeah.
I mean, it is on me how to take that comment. Okay.
Yeah.
I can be grateful for, thank you for the honesty, thank you, or just, okay, this guy, why are you here? So you're gonna come to my gig just to, decide what I'm doing. It's a very superficial example, but there are many.
For sure, yeah.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, and like there is no perfect response to that, but you can't, you can't try and manage the other person's actions either.
Exactly.
Like the response can be, I'm sorry to hear that you felt that. Like,
yes, in the end, I'm an immigrant. Mm-hmm. I had to leave my country. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not the same as I left my country.
Yes. Yeah. It's a fine distinction. Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, an immigrant is something completely different to a tourist.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's something that sometimes people forget.
Yeah.
It's like an immigrant. I'm inclined to say that most immigrants would prefer to be back at their place of what they call home, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm saying all this because I forgot why I'm saying all this. Why am I saying all this? Okay, I'm saying all this because what I mentioned before about being an immigrant is because I had to learn to live with uncertainties.
Okay. Yeah. For sure.
And I'm not saying about, okay, will I get the job position? Will I pass the audition?
You're coming to a whole new country. It's completely uncertain.
And on top of that, it's like, okay, will I be able to see my parents again?
Yeah.
Okay, should I, like, life-changing decisions, like, okay, should I stay here in this country? But what happened with my brother?
Yeah.
When I left, he was 12 years old, and I saw him 6 years later, and he was almost 2 meters tall guy.
Yeah.
A man, and on top of that, okay, what's my legal status in the country?
Yeah.
Will I be able to stay here? Okay, should I start the projects that I have in mind? But what happens if I invest all this time and then I have to leave the country because I don't get the visa?
Yeah.
All the things, like, many things.
Yeah.
Like from the most insignificant to the most important aspect of your life were kind of framed within this uncertainty.
Yes.
And I'm saying all this because we cannot control it.
Yeah.
I couldn't control life. We cannot control
No,
life.
yeah.
But we can control ourselves and kind of decide how to react to it and make decisions based on complete difference.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can be based on what you believe in God, based on belief in yourself, or believe in you, on what you want. In my case, I wanted a better life for myself, for my people, while making music.
Yeah.
I've never done anything else in my life. I never worked in anything different than music.
That's amazing, because that's an incredibly hard thing to build, is a career in music.
Yeah, I mean, and back home, my first job was teaching music to my neighbor upstairs.
Yeah, cool.
And started doing early, at the age of, I'd say, 17.
Yeah.
And I immigrated, and I've never worked here in Ireland doing anything else but music.
Wow.
So that was the decision I made.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's about uncertainty and deciding how to react.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I mean, a lot of the music, or certainly all of the music that I have ever heard you play has been jazz music, has been improvised, which has a huge degree of uncertainty, but also a huge degree of change. Like, you know, like you were saying, I need a couple more trips around the sun, but if you run through a 32-bar chorus a couple more times, it will change. No matter who's playing, they'll get bored, they'll do something different. Stuff changes. So that place that you were talking about, like, outside of yourself, like, you know, what I was hearing was like where you've almost lost the ego, you've lost the sense, the story you've told yourself about yourself, and now you're playing fully in the moment. Like, that's...
Yeah, and I, since I first experienced that, I realized that I kind of, hopefully it's like that I started observing or realizing when any of my idols were getting into the zone when they were playing. Getting to that point, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, he's now he is there, you know, she is there.
Yeah.
Yes, it's something that you get addicted to, you know. And I believe that we are all trying to strive to. That's something that we are striving for all the time.
We're all trying to find something like that,
because it's so beautiful. I mean, it's like to detach from yourself and see yourself playing, performing, and kind of become like an spectator, a listener.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen.
and that's when all that stuff about trying to understand how other people are seeing you and all that stuff, that just kind of goes away, and you're all just kind of accepting that you're there. Like that, I sometimes have this on stage where, you know, maybe something in the sound isn't right, like maybe just the EQ or something is just a little bit wrong, or even the part of the stage that I'm standing on, I'm hearing way too much bass and not enough drums or not enough chords, whatever. But like that thing where you're like judging your surroundings, that going away is like the greatest relief, and it's so hard to do. It's so hard to let go, but letting go and letting something be is actually the only way.
I completely agree with you. In addition, I'd say that there are certain things that are required. We need to achieve that. And between these two sayings, Picasso said once, like, forget about anything else and just work on being able to draw a perfect cycle.
Okay,
On top of that, I remember a teacher of my great mentor that I had back home. He said, like, art starts where the technique ends.
Yeah, for sure.
So basically, with these two ideas, what I'm saying is that you need to have your tools.
Yeah.
In order to be able to detach your brain
you need
yourself,
to be at least a little bit.
You need to have the set of tools, you know, at hand. And because otherwise, you'll be thinking of the next chord that you're gonna have to play. How to position your hands. Where you know or you don't know the song that you are performing. So that's in my experience, that needs to be there in order to achieve that level.
Yes, yeah.
Sometimes what happens is that we have the tools and we don't realize it.
Yeah.
And
You've gotten distracted by unimportant things.
Yes, it's like comparison, it's like if you listen to jazz, if you are a jazz player and you play Latin music or world music, Latin folk music and jazz. But let's use a more common example. If you listen to jazz, if you are a jazz player, you are used to listening to the greatest musicians
ever. Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't happen with classical music. You don't get to listen on the radio to Bach or on Spotify. Let's check Mozart, how he plays his own music. No.
You listen to someone else playing Mozart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that that's a different level. No, I'm just trying to make a point here, which is like, if you listen to jazz, you're listening to some of the greatest musicians ever,
Yeah.
And it's so easy to compare yourself with those guys. It's like, okay, I don't sound like Jim Hall, Pat Metheny, and Kurt Russell Winkle.
Yeah.
And you're like, and so I'm saying this because it takes a lot of work to develop that aspect of ourselves where we quiet our mind.
Yes.
Let the tools that we already have. To do the part. But we need to create awareness. We need to be aware of who we are as a musician, where we are as a musician from the technical point of view, and be aware of. To be always aware of. Okay, I'm here. This is my level.
Yeah.
I want to reach this. I'm striving for this.
Yeah.
But at this stage where I am at this very moment, I can make good music.
This is what I'm doing.
Art. Be honest with it. Embrace it, which is very hard. I'm saying.
I
work on that on a daily basis, probably.
Yeah.
And so when the moment comes that we are playing stage, just be honest, 100% honest, and with ourselves, with the audience, with the music.
Yeah.
And so we can try to reach that state of mind where we are just detached and a spectator.
And what do you call that state where you Kenny Werner calls it like a state of I think he says it's a state of lack of ego, and then other people call it like the flow state or whatever. Do you have a...
Yes, that probably that comes, not Kenny Werner's, but obviously it is required to let behind the ego in order to get there.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is like a popular understanding of what ego is.
It's
a broad...
Which is not quite right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So... But I'd say in any case, it covers both.
It does,
It covers both.
It's broader than simply thinking about yourself all the time, like being selfish. It's not the same. Yeah.
To be honest, I don't have a name for it.
Okay, yeah.
I just... My truth. I just know that it's a different level.
Yeah.
And I do believe through experience, not only through music, through other things in life, that there is a level of communication that is there. Well, that's a level of communication.
Yes, okay, yeah.
That's a level. And probably if someone managed to be there, for a quite long period of time, might find somebody else is being there.
Yeah, I get you.
Somebody else, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's I like the analogy I can think of is this is a really stuffy analogy, but the analogy of the cave wall in Plato's Republic, like we're all looking at shadows on a wall or whatever, and we're all like invested in these shadows, but at some point we turn around and we see the sun that's causing the shadows, and we realize that actually that's the truth, not the shadows on the wall. It's like when someone is actually looking at the sun, everyone understands them. Like when you're on that place, everyone in the audience, you're not speaking with symbols and abstractions that people have to decode themselves. You're speaking straight, direct line into people's brain almost.
I agree with you, yeah. And I believe this is why probably many people get into religion or any sort of practice, because probably they have experienced something similar to this, and they just attach the name God.
Yeah, exactly.
God
Yeah.
is,
That's just the word I'm using,
exactly.
no matter what. Yeah,
exactly. So I understood that out of my experiences.
Yeah.
And also, I'm huge fans. I love physics and other things.
Cool. Yeah.
And one of my favorite movies is Interstellar.
Oh yeah.
It has
Christopher Nolan.
It has some great scientific facts. So it's based on some scientific facts, but more than that there is this specific line.
Okay.
Where one of well, not the protagonist, the lady.
Okay.
Is flying. I don't want to spoil the movie, but anyway,
Yeah.
she says something about what if. I mean, that thing that we cannot explain is love, and what if love is another level of communication, and we experience it, but since we cannot explain it,
Yeah.
we just assume that it doesn't exist, or we just don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So, what is tuition? What is that thing that I mentioned about me and my mom?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not real at all. I'm just saying that just as an example.
Yeah.
So, I believe that music or that space
Yes.
is the same place where all these other things happened.
Yeah.
Or it's quite close.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No.
Sorry for my accent. Hopefully you
No apologies.
everything
Please.
that I said.
No apologies. I get you. There was when I was in school, we had this unbelievable physics teacher, and he was my favorite teacher at the time. But he asked us if we could imagine, and he was like, "I know you won't be able to, but here's just what I'm trying to get you to do. Imagine you live on a 2D plane. The only things that you interact with are two-dimensional. So a straight line in front of you, that's all there is. It's a straight line in front of you. And you look around and it's just flat. Now imagine trying to describe the third dimension to that person. Trying to describe depth to that person. It's not just width and height anymore. Now there's depth. Impossible. Like, can't comprehend. But maybe what they can comprehend is that something was in front of them and then went around them somehow in a dimension they didn't understand. Now it's behind them.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
So we see the results as they sort of land in our space, as but we don't know how.
Yeah, we accept the things that we understand, that our human brain can process
within
exactly within our capabilities.
Yeah.
So we live in a three dimensions world.
Yeah.
Right. But if we have like a subject thing, whatever, that have five dimensions, six dimensions.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to recognize it.
No. Yeah.
One of those is love.
Yes. Yeah.
One of those is that head space or that place that we were talking about before, like the zone.
Yeah.
What if that's premonitions, or that feeling that you get when you see someone, and you know the person, or you're like, this guy is like, has this very heavy vibe. What if that's, although things are an example of 5 dimensions, subjects or whatever, or things.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
I don't. Yeah, no, it does. But I this is the thing. I was just thinking as you're saying it. Like, I don't think that I know any musicians who are not in some way spiritual, right? And the reason I say that is they might be like the most mathematical. The 16th note is the 16th note. The 8th note is the 8th note, and that's it. Like they might be the most like straightforward person. But I don't know any of them who don't get a lift from the music. And there's no explanation for it other than getting like almost like for me the words I'd use is like soulfully attached to what's happening, like to be lifting up a part of you that's inside that you can't otherwise use, except for when music is playing. Like that part of them just gets a lift when everyone comes together right, or when everyone lands on a hit the right way. Like there's just this feeling, and the reason that every musician is soulful or is spiritual, I guess, is because it's backwards. That's why they're a musician, because they know that feeling. They want that feeling again. Like, no one chooses this.
Okay, in the end, I mean, if you want to be a musician, or not if you want to be a musician, if you are a musician.
Yes, if you are one. Yeah,
you're a musician, like, who live out of music, who left everything. To make music, or who wishes to leave everything just to make music. It's because you have certain characteristics. It's like there are requirements. It's like if you wanna be like a great soldier, you have to know how to follow orders.
Yes,
That's the definition of being a great soldier. Probably.
Sense of duty.
Probably if you wanna be like a good psychologist, you have to be able to listen to people. And, be quiet and just listen and pay attention, like fully attention. So those are like characteristics that probably all these people who are within this profession have to have. Musicians is the same, or artists. You need a minimum, at least a minimum amount of sensitivity. Emotionality, because otherwise everything comes from your brain. And yes, you can make music out of your brain and out of your tools, but it feels different.
It does.
And if you left everything because of music, like to pursue music and a career as a musician, it's because you couldn't control that emotional aspect. Because that's not, according to the world that we live in at this stage and at this moment. That's not a logical decision.
It's far from it. It's not a rational decision.
It doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
You're a musician in 2023. Actually, I was listening to on the radio yesterday.
A
guy giving some numbers, and he said like the tech industry increased by 2/3. Sorry, don't say that. The incomes from 2020 to 2023.
Wow. Okay.
And the other hand said the highest risk. On the other hand, the highest risk sector
profession
arts, blah 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 blah.
Exactly. Arts first.
So arts have been in agony, not agony, but like, how to say that?
Just in jeopardy.
Since its beginning.
Bach
had to compose every week, like a regular gig in the church, to make a living. Probably if he didn't show up one Sunday to play, during the mass,
he's not eating.
Probably he's not eating for the next week. During the next week. So what I'm saying is that we need that part, the emotional part, that blocks our left side of the brain. And and make us go in that direction.
It's funny. There are 2 points of view. You can either you need to be crazy to be a musician. That's one way of looking at it. Or you need to be the most sane person in the world to be a musician, because you realize the important thing has to come first. That's whichever side of the line you're on, that'll tell you what your answer is.
We need art in this world.
100%.
During the pandemic, I came to this conclusion that artists are like how to say that, like when preventive medicine.
They're like exercise and good diet.
Because it makes human more human.
It can make us
this values and ethic in people. And science is like the reactive.
Medicine. For sure.
So if we would have more arts, we would have more culture. People with a more sense of responsibility, discipline. With more emotions.
And it's about connection between people. That's it.
Exactly.
Like art is about communicating across.
Sense of I forgot the term. Anyway, it's made people more emotional. All these things, and. If we have all this, we will prevent many of the things that are happening.
All the well, maybe not all, but a lot of the awful things, including just depression, loneliness, isolation. Like if you are involved in an active culture where people get together, you can even take this all the way away from music. If you can just call anything where two people must communicate to create something art, like football is art, pass the ball, like 1-2, like that. Those are like small parts of communication, but you are working together to create something for you both, and you're doing it for creation, like for creation's sake. Competitiveness is
100%. And on top of that, I'd say the additional aspect that I believe that arts provides is that cultural thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you cannot be uneducated if you listen to Bach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't necessarily know like all of art history.
I'll tell you why. I'll give you an example. Yeah. You have to be a certain level of cultural knowledge to listen to Bach. Why? Not because Bach or classical music or jazz is for people in a certain level. No, because you don't find Bach on the radio.
Yeah,
you have
that's
to
true.
Do a research.
Yeah.
You have to
go looking,
exactly.
Yeah.
Go and probably you heard someone talking about Bach and you didn't know who that guy was.
You
did your research and then you discover all this world. So it probably is a very silly example, but what I'm saying is that around music, around arts, it's culture,
Yeah.
And the same way, probably you are, this theory, or I don't know whether it's a theory or a law, but that your personality is the average, or your habits are the average of the 5 people that surround you.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you are surrounded by people who are into rock,
or
into jazz, or into alcohol, or drugs,
you know
what I mean? So you're gonna kind of get towards that zone or in those interests.
Yeah.
So bringing the conversation back to the arts, it's like arts provides you that cultural aspect that society needs.
Yes. Yeah.
In order to avoid wars, in order to understand that you might believe in Allah, I believe in Buddha, we don't have to kill each other because probably we are both wrong.
Yeah. But we're both looking for the right thing, and that's what ties us together.
Exactly. And that level of understanding happens only when we have that level of culture. Because people who listen to that's an example. If you only listen to the music that is playing on the radio, probably you are used to people telling you what to believe, what to think.
Yeah. But at the same time, also, then you go down the street and you meet 20 other people that only listen to that, and you have a connection to them as well.
100%.
Like there's,
I'm just saying an example. I'm not saying listen to.
I know what you mean, but that's it. Like you can either go looking for what you want or find it in what's right in front of you. But at the same, everyone's looking. The last. There was one thing I was going to add to that. Have you ever heard of Ikigai? Ikigai. It's a Japanese word. It's a Japanese word that means an awful lot of things, but at its heart, it's like the meaning of life. So, but this Japanese concept of Ikigai is like it starts the book by talking about the blue zones in the world, and the blue zones are defined as the place where people live the longest or are happiest, and just by chance, those things tend to cross over exactly. And like the place where people are the most content are also the places where people live longest. And the places where people live longest have the most people over 100. So this book went looking for the places with the most people over 100. And one of the many, they break it down into about 12 factors, but one of the many things that these people all have in common is that they get together and do something that is purely recreational, or like they might garden together, but gardening was for the production of food, which they eat and share, and that's a huge thing. That's community. But they also have something they do purely for fun, and that's culture. That's bringing people together, creating a way of interacting with people. A common thing. That we all interact around.
We need that in order to survive as a species, and as a person. We need to relate to other people, communicate with other people.
I know that's what I'm looking for. Like I know that's
100%, yes.
But sorry. The question we're right up on the end. The last question I always ask people is, it's either or. Is there something you're listening to right now that really affects you, or that really really hits the spot musically on the thing you love, or is there a song or an album or a piece of work that's always been around for you that is sort of that like defines the thing that you love about music?
That's a very interesting one. I'm always trying to prioritize what I'm listening to, because I don't necessarily have too much time to listen to new music. Because
Yes.
I'm either working on new music,
Yeah.
like if I have to get prepared for a gig,
Yeah.
concert, or if I'm composing and working on my music.
Yeah.
But I listened to a couple of days. I listened to an album by he's from a Polish guitar player.
Okay.
He's quite new, as a quite young guy called Simon Mika. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it correctly. I don't have the name of the album. I have my computer here.
Okay.
It's an album from 2023.
Okay.
It's a quintet album. I listened to one of the tracks, and I was like impressed it touched me on a different level.
Okay.
Somehow
Cool.
it was like, actually, I sent the track to my brother, and I said to him like, this is one of those examples when you feel that you're in front of a piece of art.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. And I'm just checking the album here. Just give me a second, give you the name if that's okay. Simon Mika is the name of the guitar player. The band is called We Band, WEBAND. Okay.
Yeah.
And the name of the song is Dark Matter.
Dark Matter. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So actually, the name of the album per se is Cavatina Session, CAVATINA Session. Yes. And the name of the band is We Band.
Cool.
And it's co-led by Simon Mika.
Cool.
And it's the second track of that album. Amazing. It's like, to my taste.
Yeah.
I'm also studying classical piece on guitar.
Yeah.
It's composed by one of the greatest classical composer worldwide, actually, from Venezuela. He was his name was Antonio Lauro. It's one of his most famous compositions called Valse Number 3, also known as Natalia. Natalie with A at the end. He named his composition after his relative.
Cool.
Daughters, sisters, wife. So this is one of those songs that are required, that are part of worldwide and on academies as part of the program for classical guitar.
Cool.
It became very famous in the 80s,
Okay.
70s, 60s, because one of the at the time, one of the greatest classical guitar player was Andres Segovia.
Spanish. Yes. Yeah.
When Andres Segovia passed away, he left the school of guitar.
Okay.
Call it school. Classical world.
Everyone
was teaching in Spain and Italy, and then his student, who happened to be a Venezuelan, took over the teaching.
He took over from Segovia.
Yes. He became this second guitar player. The Venezuelan is called Alivio Diaz, and Alivio Diaz became the greatest guitar player in his time. And Alivio Diaz started playing all Lauro's music.
Okay.
And that's when the music from Antonio Lauro became famous worldwide.
Okay.
So Lauro composed music based on Venezuelan folk rhythms and forms.
Wow. Okay.
So he
yeah.
had all the traditional classical school.
Yeah.
Training. He was also baritone. He composed for the symphonies, all this for orchestras, but also had the folk tradition from Venezuela, and he mixed both and created all of these pieces.
That's really cool. And what is it about the piece that does it for you?
It's a class. It's like a classic guitar piece. In the classical repertoire. It's like No Way or No, Donna Lee,
every guitar
or Stairway to Heaven. It's like if you play guitar, you know the riff. So I'm relearning the sound, because I learned when I was like 15 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and it's very complex. So I'm that's my way to visiting home.
Okay.
to
Okay.
feel like I'm closer to all that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. And what is it? I should ask. What is it about dark matter that really connects for you?
Everything. It's just the textures, the layers, the rhythm of the song. It's like it's a quite complex time signature, but it's like it's very cinematic and very visual.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
It's everything. It's like when you encounter like a piece of art like this, it's like it is. It is the way it is thanks to all its parts.
Yes.
You take the parts apart. It doesn't make any sense, but it's like that's the best thing that could have happened at that very moment. You know? So that's what I felt this song.
Yeah. Okay.
I really liked it. Yeah, and it's by there's a very young guitar player.
Okay.
Maybe in the mid-30s.
Oh right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's like it's my age or our age.
Yeah.
Our generation. He's fantastic. Simon Mika, check him out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor to share with you in person and with all of you.
Yeah.
To the podcast.
This has been great. I'm really excited to share it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.